The alarm rang through the empty corridors of Relay Station Epsilon 7. Taemin looked up from his workbench, wiping grease from his hands. Another ship was coming. He did not get many visitors these days. The station was old and broken, sitting far away from the busy trade routes. Most ships just passed by without stopping. He walked to the control room, his boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. The screen showed a small shuttle approaching. It was moving strangely, tilting to one side. Smoke came from its engines. Taemin knew that ship was in trouble. He pressed the communication button. No answer came back. He tried again. Still nothing. The shuttle kept coming closer, but nobody was talking to him. This was not good. Taemin ran to the docking bay. He had lived alone on this station for 2 years. The old crew left when the station stopped making money. They said it was not worth staying. But Taemin stayed. He had nowhere else to go. He fixed things that broke and kept the station running. It was quiet, but it was home. The shuttle crashed into the docking port. Metal screamed against metal. Taemin covered his ears. The lights went out for a moment, then came back on. Red emergency lights filled the bay. He grabbed his tool belt and ran to the airlock. When the door opened, thick smoke poured out. Taemin pulled his shirt over his nose and went inside. The shuttle was small and dark. Boxes were scattered everywhere. Something was burning. He needed to find the pilot fast. He found her in the back, lying on the floor between cargo containers. She was not human. Her skin was pale blue and strange metal pieces covered parts of her head and neck. Those were implants. Taemin had seen them before. She was Velkari. The Velkari were known across the galaxy for their advanced technology. They put machines inside their bodies to help them think faster, remember more, and control their feelings. These implants made them powerful, but this woman's implants were sparking. Small blue flashes of electricity jumped across the metal in her skin. She was shaking and her eyes were rolled back. Taemin knelt beside her. He put his fingers on her neck to check her pulse. It was very fast, too fast. Her breathing was short and painful. The implants were killing her. He lifted her carefully. She was light, much lighter than a human. He carried her out of the burning shuttle and through the station corridors. His arms hurt, but he did not stop. He took her to the medical bay. The medical bay was small and old. It had one bed, some basic machines and supplies that were almost empty. Taemin put the woman on the bed and turned on the medical scanner. The screen filled with numbers and warnings. Everything was red. Critical failure. System collapse. Neural damage. Taemin sat down and stared at the screen. He was an engineer, not a doctor. He fixed machines and computers, not people. But this woman had machines inside her body. Maybe he could help. Maybe. He started working. First, he connected the medical scanner to the woman's implants. He needed to understand what was wrong. The scanner showed him the inside of her head. Wires and chips were mixed with her brain tissue. Some of the wires were broken. Some of the chips were burnt. The whole system was failing. Taemin had never seen Velkari technology up close before. It was beautiful and complicated. Every wire had a purpose. Every chip controlled something important. But there were no instructions. The Velkari kept their technology secret. They did not share it with other species. They did not want anyone else to know how it worked. He spent hours looking at the scans, trying to understand the patterns. He made notes and drew diagrams. His eyes hurt from staring at the screen. His back hurt from sitting too long. But he kept working. The woman suddenly opened her eyes. They were bright yellow like small suns. She looked at Taemin with fear and confusion. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Then she started shaking again. The implants sparked brighter. She was having a seizure. Taemin grabbed a medical injector and gave her something to calm her body. The shaking slowed down. Her eyes closed again. But he knew the medicine was just a temporary fix. The real problem was the implants. If he did not fix them soon, she would die. He looked at her peaceful face. Who was she? Why was she running? What happened to her implants? The questions filled his mind, but there was no time for answers now. He had work to do. Taemin went to his workshop and gathered his tools. He brought back circuit testers, wire cutters, soldering equipment, and his portable computer. He was going to try something that nobody had ever done before. He was going to fix Velkari implants without Velkari training or Velkari tools. He knew this was dangerous. One wrong move could destroy her mind. But doing nothing was even more dangerous. She would definitely die if he did not try. Outside the medical bay, the station was quiet. The stars shined through the windows. Space was cold and empty. But inside this small room, Taemin was fighting to save a life. He did not know this woman's name. He did not know where she came from or where she was going. But none of that mattered. She needed help, and he was the only one who could give it. He pulled his chair closer to the bed and started working. His hands moved carefully, connecting his equipment to her implants. The screen showed him electrical signals moving through her brain. Some signals were strong and clear. Others were weak and broken. Taemin took a deep breath. This was it. This was the moment that would decide if she lived or died. He said a quiet prayer to nobody in particular, then started typing commands into his computer. The repair process had begun. 3 days passed. Taemin barely slept. He stayed in the medical bay, watching the monitors and making small adjustments to his equipment. The woman whose name he still did not know drifted in and out of consciousness. Sometimes her eyes would open for a few seconds. Sometimes she would try to speak. But then the pain would come back and she would close her eyes again. Taemin learned more about the implants each day. They were not like any technology he had seen before. Human computers used simple circuits and clear pathways. But Valkyrie implants were grown, not built. They merged with living tissue, becoming part of the body. Fixing them was like trying to heal a wound and repair a machine at the same time. On the 4th day, she woke up fully. Her yellow eyes focused on him with clarity for the first time. She looked around the medical bay, confused and scared. Then she saw the wires connected to her head. She tried to pull them out. Taemin gently caught her hands. No, he said softly. Those are helping you. Please do not touch them. She stared at him. Her mouth moved, forming words in a language he did not understand. The sounds were musical but strange, nothing like human speech. She spoke faster, getting more upset. Her heart rate increased on the monitor. Taemin held up his hands in a peaceful gesture. I do not understand, he said. I'm sorry. I do not speak your language. She stopped talking. Her face showed frustration. Then she closed her eyes and seemed to concentrate very hard. When she opened them again, she pointed to herself and spoke one word slowly. Bora. Taemin smiled. That was her name, Bora. He pointed to himself. Taemin, he said. Bora repeated his name quietly. Then she pointed to the wires on her head and made a questioning expression. Taemin went to his computer and pulled up a simple diagram. He showed her the picture of her implants and pointed to the broken parts highlighted in red. Then he showed her the parts he had already fixed, now marked in green. There was still a lot of red on the screen. Bora looked at the diagram for a long time. Her expression changed from confusion to understanding, then to shock. She touched the side of her head where the implants were. Her hands shook. She looked at Taemin with wide eyes and said something in her language. He did not need a translation to understand. She was asking why. Why was he helping her? Taemin shrugged. Because you needed help, he said simply. She shook her head. She did not understand. She pointed to herself, then made a breaking gesture with her hands. She was trying to tell him something. She was broken. That was what she meant. Taemin sat down beside her bed. He thought about how to explain. He pointed to the station around them, to the old walls and broken equipment. Everything is a little broken, he said. That does not mean it is not worth fixing. Bora stared at him. Then slowly tears filled her yellow eyes. They ran down her blue cheeks. Taemin had never seen a Valkyrie cry before. He did not know if it was common or rare, but he understood that this meant something important. Over the next few days, they found ways to communicate. Bora's implants included a translation program, but it was damaged. Sometimes it worked for a few words. Sometimes it did not work at all. They used gestures, drawings, and simple words. Slowly, Taemin learned her story. Bora had worked for a large company in Valkyrie space. She analyzed data and solved problems. She was good at her job, but then her implants started failing. The company said it was her fault for not maintaining them properly. They said she needed to pay for the repairs herself. But the repairs cost too much money. More money than she had saved in years. She asked for help. She asked her employer, her friends, even her family. Everyone said the same thing. Broken implants meant a broken person. In Valkyrie society, your implants showed your worth. If they failed, it meant you were not good enough. It meant you were defective. Bora lost her job. Her friends stopped talking to her. Her family was ashamed. She became invisible. People would look away when they saw her on the street. Stores would not serve her. She could not find work. She could not afford food, so she ran. She used her last money to buy a broken shuttle and escaped from Velkari space. She did not have a plan. She just wanted to get away from the people who had abandoned her. But the shuttle was old and damaged. When the engines finally failed, she ended up at Epsilon 7. Taemin listened to her story with growing anger. How could people treat each other like that? How could they abandon someone just because of a broken machine? In human culture, people helped their sick and injured. It was considered a basic duty. The strong protected the weak. That was how civilization survived. But he kept his anger to himself. Bora did not need his anger. She needed his help. He went back to work on her implants with new determination. Every wire he fixed, every circuit he repaired, was his answer to the people who had hurt her. They said she was not worth saving. He would prove them wrong. Bora watched him work. She asked questions, using her broken translation software and hand gestures. She wanted to understand what he was doing. She wanted to learn. Taemin explained everything he could. He showed her the human technology he was using, the adaptations he had made, the creative solutions to problems that should have been impossible. One evening, as Taemin was replacing a burned circuit, Bora spoke. Her translation program worked for a moment. "Why did you stay here?" she asked. "On this station, alone?" Taemin stopped working. He looked out the window at the stars. That was a good question. Why had he stayed? "I had a family once," he said quietly. "A wife and a daughter. There was a war, they died. I was away, working on a ship. I was not there to protect them," he paused. The memories hurt, even after all these years. After that, I did not want to be around people. I felt like I had failed. So I came here, to this forgotten station. I thought maybe if I fixed broken things, it would make up for what I could not fix. Bora was quiet for a long moment. Then her translation software worked again. "We are both running," she said, "from different things. But running the same." Taemin smiled sadly. "Yes," he agreed. "But maybe running brought us to where we needed to be." 2 weeks passed. Taemin worked on Bora's implants every day. He made progress slowly, one small fix at a time. Each repair was like solving a puzzle. He had to figure out what each part did, why it was failing, and how to fix it without causing more damage. The station's workshop became his second home. He took apart old equipment and used the pieces to build new tools. He needed a special kind of probe to reach deep into the implant circuits. The medical bay did not have one, so he made it himself from a broken scanner and some wire. It took him 3 days, but it worked. Bora's condition improved little by little. The seizures stopped. The sparking reduced. She could stay awake for longer periods. Her translation software worked more often, which made communication easier. She started helping Taemin, explaining how her people used the implants and what each function was supposed to do. "The main implant," she explained one day, "controls everything. It is like the captain of a ship. If the captain fails, the whole crew panics." That was why she had been so sick. Her main implant was damaged badly. Taemin studied the main implant carefully. It was the most complex piece of technology he had ever seen. Thousands of connections led from it to different parts of Bora's brain. It controlled her memory, her emotions, even her basic thought processes. One mistake could destroy her mind forever. He spent a whole week just planning how to fix it. He drew diagrams, ran simulations on his computer, and tested his tools on spare parts. Bora watched him work, growing more anxious each day. She could feel that this was the important moment. Either he would succeed or she would remain broken forever. On the morning of the repair, Taemin woke up early. He had not slept well. His hands shook slightly as he prepared his equipment. Bora sat on the medical bed, very still and quiet. She looked scared. "Are you ready?" Taemin asked. Bora nodded slowly. "I trust you," she said. Her translation software was working clearly today. Those 3 words hit Taemin hard. She trusted him. After being abandoned by everyone she knew, after being told she was worthless, she was putting her life in his hands. He felt the weight of that responsibility. "I will do my best," he promised. That was all he could say. He gave her medicine to help her relax. Then he connected his equipment to the main implant. The screen showed him the damage in detail. 3 major circuits were burned out. 2 connection pathways were broken. The power regulator was failing. Taemin started with the power regulator. It was the most dangerous problem. If it failed completely while he was working, The whole implant could overload and burn Bora's brain. He had built a replacement part from an old computer chip. It was not perfect, but it should work. Very carefully, he removed the old regulator. Bora gasped. Her eyes went wide. The monitors showed her heart beating faster. Taemin worked quickly. Every second counted. He installed the new part and sealed the connections. The screen flickered, then stabilized. It worked. Bora let out a long breath. That felt strange, she said quietly, like my thoughts stopped for a moment. You are doing great, Taemin said. Just stay calm. We are not done yet. Next came the burned circuits. These were harder to fix because they were deep inside the implant structure. Taemin used his homemade probe to reach them. He worked slowly, connecting new pathways around the damaged areas. It was like creating a detour on a broken road. Hours passed. Taemin's back hurt from leaning over the equipment. His eyes burned from staring at the screen. But he did not stop. He fixed one circuit, then the second, then the third. Each time he tested the connections carefully before moving on. Bora felt each repair happening. Her thoughts became clearer. The constant pain in her head started to fade. Memories that had been fuzzy came back into focus. She could feel herself becoming whole again, piece by piece. Finally, Taemin reached the last problem. The broken connection pathways. These were the thinnest wires in the entire implant. He needed a steady hand and perfect precision. One slip could sever important connections to Bora's brain. He took a deep breath and began. The probe moved slowly through the implant structure, guided by the scanner. He found the first broken pathway and used a micro-welder to reconnect it. The screen showed the signal flowing through. Success. The second pathway was harder to reach. Taemin had to navigate around several delicate structures. Sweat dripped down his face. His hands were completely steady now, guided by years of experience and intense focus. He made the connection. Another success. Then, as he pulled the probe back, something went wrong. A wire shifted. An alarm sounded. The screen flashed red. Bora cried out in pain. Taemin's heart raced. He looked at the screen frantically. What had happened? There, he saw it. A connection had come loose, causing a power surge. If he did not fix it immediately, it would cascade through the whole system. His training kicked in. No time to think, only to act. He redirected the probe, found the loose connection, and secured it in place. The alarm stopped. The red lights turned green. Bora stopped screaming. Are you okay? Taemin asked urgently. Bora breathed heavily. Her whole body was shaking. But slowly she nodded. Yes, she whispered. I am okay. Taemin wanted to stop. His nerves were frayed. But they were so close. Just a little more and the main implant would be stable. He steadied himself and finished the last repairs. When he finally disconnected his equipment, the sun was setting outside the station windows. He had been working for 14 hours straight. Every muscle in his body ached. But it was done. Bora sat up slowly. She touched the side of her head where the main implant was. Her yellow eyes were clear and bright. The pain was gone. The fog in her mind had lifted. For the first time in over a year, she felt like herself again. She looked at Taemin and started crying. Not from pain this time, but from relief and gratitude. She tried to thank him, but the words would not come. Instead, she just reached out and took his hand. Taemin squeezed her hand gently. You are going to be okay, he said. We are not finished yet, but the worst is over. Bora smiled through her tears. Nobody else would have tried, she said. Nobody else would have cared. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for not giving up. Taemin felt something shift inside himself. For years, he had been hiding on this station, fixing machines to avoid dealing with his own broken heart. But helping Bora had given him something he thought he had lost forever. Purpose, hope, a reason to keep trying. The weeks that followed were easier. With the main implant stabilized, Bora could move around the station freely. She still had other damaged implants that needed attention, but they were not life-threatening. Taemin worked on them when he could, between maintaining the station and making sure they had enough food and supplies. Bora started helping him with the work. She was good with computers and systems. Her Valkyrie training made her excellent at finding problems and fixing them. Together they made a good team. The station began running better than it had in years. One evening, Bora was working on the communication array when she received a message. It was encrypted, sent through old channels that most people did not use anymore. She decrypted it and read the words on her screen. Her face went pale. "What is wrong?" Taemin asked, seeing her expression. Bora showed him the message. It was from someone named HFY, an old friend from before Bora's implants failed. The message was simple but desperate. HFY was also in trouble. Her implants were failing too, and she had nowhere to go. She had heard rumors that Bora was alive and asked for help. "Can we help her?" Bora asked quietly. She looked at Taemin with hope and fear mixed in her eyes. Taemin thought about it. The station barely had enough resources for 2 people. Medical supplies were running low. His tools were wearing out. But he looked at Bora's face and remembered how she had looked when she first arrived, broken and dying. How could he say no? "Yes," he said. "Tell her to come. We will help her." Bora smiled. It was the first real smile Taemin had seen from her. She sent the coordinates of the station to HFY. 3 days later, HFY arrived. She was older than Bora, with gray streaks in her hair. Her implants were in worse condition, sparking constantly. She could barely walk when she got off her ship. Taemin and Bora helped her to the medical bay. Taemin examined her implants and felt his heart sink. The damage was extensive. It would take weeks, maybe months, to repair everything. But he got to work immediately. He had done it once. He could do it again. Bora helped him using everything she had learned. She explained the procedures to HFY in their language, helping to keep her calm. She prepared equipment and monitored the readings. She was not just a patient anymore. She was becoming a healer too. As they worked on HFY, she told them her story. It was similar to Bora's. She had been a teacher, respected and valued. Then her implants started failing. The school let her go. Her students' parents complained. They said she was not fit to teach their children. Nobody would hire her after that. "I tried to get help," HFY said weakly. "I went to medical centers. They said the repairs would cost everything I owned. When I could not pay, they turned me away. I was dying and they just watched." Taemin felt anger rising in his chest again. How many people had this happened to? How many Velkari were suffering because their society had decided they were not worth saving? After 2 weeks, HFY was stable. Not fully healed, but no longer dying. She cried when she realized she would live. She hugged Bora and Taemin, thanking them over and over. But HFY had done something before coming to the station. She had told other people about Taemin. She had sent messages through the secret networks that refugees used. She had told them that there was a human engineer who could fix Velkari implants, a human who would help no matter what. 1 month after HFY arrived, another ship came. Then another. Then 3 more. All of them carried Velkari with failing implants. All of them were desperate and had nowhere else to go. Taemin looked at the growing crowd in his docking bay and felt overwhelmed. There were so many. Old people, young people, even children. All of them broken by a society that should have protected them. "I cannot help all of them," he said to Bora. "I do not have enough supplies. I do not have enough time. I am just one person." Bora put her hand on his shoulder. "You are not one person anymore," she said. "You have us. We can help. Teach us what you know. Train us. We will work together." Taemin looked at her, then at HFY, who nodded in agreement. He looked at the refugees waiting in the docking bay. Many of them were watching him with hope in their eyes. They believed in him. They believed he could save them. He took a deep breath. "Okay," he said. "Let us try." They turned the station's cargo bay into a second medical area. Taemin taught Bora and HFY everything he could. He showed them how to diagnose problems, how to make replacement parts, how to perform the delicate repairs. They learned quickly, motivated by the suffering around them. The refugees who were healed stayed to help. They worked on the station, growing food in small gardens, maintaining equipment, caring for the sick. The station became more than just a place. It became a community. Taemin met each person who arrived. He learned their names and their stories. There was Kyung-soo, an old engineer whose implants had failed after 60 years of perfect function. There was Da-eun, a young mother whose child had been born with defective implants. There was Jiho, a former soldier whose combat implants had been damaged in battle and who had been thrown away by his own military. Each story made Taemin more determined. These were not just broken machines he was fixing. These were lives. People who had been told they did not matter, who had been abandoned by everyone they knew. He could not save them all, but he could save some, and that had to be enough. One night after a long day of work, Bora found Timon sitting alone in the observation room. He was looking out at the stars, lost in thought. "What are you thinking about?" she asked, sitting beside him. Timon was quiet for a moment. "I came to this station to hide," he said. "I did not want to be around people. I did not want to feel anything. But now there are dozens of people here, and I feel everything. Their pain, their hope, their gratitude. It is overwhelming." Bora nodded. "You gave us more than fixed implants," she said. "You gave us back our lives. You showed us that we matter. That is worth feeling overwhelmed." Timon smiled. "Maybe you are right. Maybe this is what I was meant to do, not hide, but help." They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Outside, the universe was vast and cold, but inside this small station, something warm was growing. Hope, community, a family of broken people who were learning to be whole again. 6 months passed. The station was full of life now. Nearly 50 Velkari lived there, working together to survive and heal. Timon had trained 5 people to help with the medical work. Bora and Haiwan were the most skilled, but others were learning too. Every day they saved lives that would have been lost. The community developed its own rhythm. People woke up early and worked in shifts. Some maintained the station's systems. Others grew food in the small hydroponics bay they had built. The medical team worked constantly, fixing implants and caring for new arrivals. Everyone contributed what they could. Timon felt proud of what they had built. But he also felt worried. Supplies were running low. The station's equipment was wearing out from constant use. They needed more resources, more medicine, more parts. He did not know how much longer they could keep going. One morning, the long-range scanners picked up something unusual. Multiple ships were approaching the station. Big ships. Military ships. Timon felt his stomach drop. This was not good. He called everyone to the central area. The Velkari refugees gathered, looking nervous. They knew what military ships meant. Their government had found them. Bora stood beside Timon, her face pale but determined. "What do we do?" she asked. Timon did not know. He had no weapons. The station was not built for defense. If the military wanted to take everyone, he could not stop them. But he had to try something. A communication came through. A woman's face appeared on the screen. She wore a military uniform with many medals. Her expression was cold and stern. Her name appeared on the screen. "Commander Yun-hee. This is Commander Yun-hee of the Velkari Defense Fleet," she said. "You are harboring Velkari citizens who have violated multiple laws. You are also performing unauthorized medical procedures using proprietary Velkari technology. These are serious crimes." Timon stepped forward. "I am Timon, the station manager. These people are not criminals. They are refugees. They came here because they were dying and nobody would help them." Commander Yun-hee's expression did not change. Their implant failures are the result of poor maintenance and personal neglect. They are responsible for their own condition. By helping them, you are interfering with Velkari law and society. Timon felt anger building inside him. "Personal neglect?" he said, his voice rising. "These people could not afford repairs. Your society threw them away like broken tools. They are not responsible. Your system is." Commander Yun-hee's eyes narrowed. "You do not understand our culture, human. You have no right to judge us. Now, I am giving you one chance. Surrender all Velkari citizens on that station. They will be processed and returned to proper facilities. If you refuse, we will take them by force." Timon looked back at the refugees. They were terrified. Some were crying. Others looked resigned, like they had expected this. Daeyun held her child close, whispering soothing words. Kyung-soo stood with his arms crossed, trying to look brave despite his shaking hands. "No," Timon said firmly. "I will not surrender them. These people are under my protection. If you want them, you will have to come through me." Commander Yun-hee looked surprised for a moment. Then her face hardened. "You are making a mistake, human. You cannot win against us." "Maybe not," Timon replied. "But I will not let you take them without a fight." The communication ended. The military ships moved closer, surrounding the station. Timon could see soldiers preparing to board. He had maybe an hour before they arrived. The refugees started talking all at once. Some wanted to surrender to avoid bloodshed. Others wanted to hide. Nobody knew what to do. Bora climbed onto a table so everyone could see her. She raised her hands for quiet. When the room fell silent, she spoke in her own language. Her voice was strong and clear. Taemin did not understand the words, but he understood the emotion. Bora was angry. She was pointing at the screen where Commander Yun-hee had been. She was gesturing to the medical bay, to the gardens, to everything they had built together. Then Bora switched to the common language so Taemin could understand. I told them our stories, she said. I told them how we were abandoned. How we were left to die. How Taemin saved us not because he had to, but because he chose to. Because he believes every life has value. She turned to look at Taemin. I also told them that I have an idea. A way to fight back without weapons. But I need permission to access the station's communication array. The full array, not just local channels. Taemin did not hesitate. To it, he said. Bora ran to the communication room with Haewon following her. Taemin watched them work, routing power to the array and setting up a broadcast. Whatever Bora was planning, it was big. After 10 minutes, Bora was ready. She sat in front of the camera, took a deep breath and started recording. The message would be sent to every Velkari communication network, public and private. Everyone would see it. My name is Bora, she said in her language. Subtitles appeared on the screen for Taemin to read. I am a Velkari citizen who was left to die by her own people. My implants failed and I could not afford repairs. I lost my job, my friends, my family. I was told I was worthless. I believed them. She paused, gathering her emotions. But then I met a human. His name is Taemin. He found me dying on his station. He could have turned me away. He could have let me die, but he did not. He worked for weeks to fix my implants. He used his own supplies, his own time, his own skills. He asked for nothing in return. Tears started running down her face. And he did not just save me. He saved dozens of us. People that our society threw away. Children. Elderly. Veterans. People who gave everything to our civilization and got nothing back when they needed help. Taemin gave us our lives back. He showed us that we matter. She looked directly into the camera. Now our military is here to take us back. They say we are criminals. They say Taemin is breaking the law. But I ask you, my people, what is the greater crime? Helping the dying or letting them die? Bora stood up. Behind her, other refugees moved into view of the camera. Old Kyung-soo. Young Da-Eun holding her child. Jiho the soldier. All of them looking at the camera with determination. We are not criminals, Bora said. We are your neighbors. Your former colleagues. Your family members. And if helping us is a crime, then the law is wrong. We will not surrender. We will not go quietly. We deserve to live. And Taemin deserves to be honored, not arrested. She ended the recording and sent it out. The message would reach millions of Velkari within minutes. Now they just had to wait and see if anyone cared. The military ships held their position. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Taemin watched the sensors, waiting for the soldiers to board. But they did not come. Something was happening. Bora's message was spreading across Velkari space. People were watching it, sharing it, talking about it. The communication networks lit up with activity. Some people supported the military. They said the refugees were criminals who deserved punishment. But many more people were angry. They had family members with failing implants. They knew people who had been abandoned. Bora's words touched something deep inside them. On one of the military ships, a young officer named Sung-ho watched Bora's message on his personal screen. His hands shook as he recognized one face in the crowd behind her. It was his younger brother, Taewoo. He had not seen him in 2 years, not since Taewoo's implants started failing and their family sent him away in shame. Sung-ho had sent money secretly to help Taewoo, but it was never enough. He had believed his brother was dead, but there he was on that station alive and healthy, saved by a human who cared more than his own family had. He was not the only one. Other soldiers were receiving messages from people they knew, friends, relatives, former colleagues, all of them asking the same question. Are you really going to attack these people? Are you going to arrest the person who saved them? On the command ship, Commander Yun-hee was getting angry. Her communication console was flooded with messages from Velkari citizens. Most of them were hostile. They were calling her heartless. They were demanding she leave the refugees alone. Some were threatening protest if she proceeded with the attack. She tried to ignore the messages and focus on her mission. But then her own officers started coming to her with concerns. The crew was divided. Many did not want to attack the station. They did not see the refugees as criminals. They saw them as victims. Commander Yun-hee called a meeting with her senior staff. "We have our orders," she said firmly. "These people violated the law. The human interfered with our technology. We must enforce our regulations." One of her officers, a woman named Mi-soon, spoke up. "With respect, Commander, maybe the law is wrong. I have been reading reports about implant failures. Thousands of our citizens lose their implants every year. Most cannot afford repairs. We just let them suffer. Is that right?" Commander Yun-hee's face hardened. "That is not our concern. We enforce the law." "We do not make it," another officer spoke. "My sister's implants are failing, Commander. She has 2 children. She cannot work anymore. I send her money every month, but it is not enough. If she goes to that station, will you order me to arrest her?" The room fell silent. Commander Yun-hee looked around at her officers. She saw doubt in their eyes. Hesitation. Some were even looking at her with something close to defiance. Then the communication console beeped, an urgent message from the government. Commander Yun-hee read it and her expression changed. The message ordered her to hold position and not take action. The government was facing massive public pressure. They needed time to figure out how to handle the situation. Back on the station, Taemin saw the military ships pull back slightly. They were not leaving, but they were not attacking either. Something had changed. A new communication came through. This time it was not Commander Yun-hee. It was Captain Sung-ho. He looked nervous but determined. "My name is Sung-ho," he said. "I am an officer in the Valkyrie fleet, but I am also a brother to one of the people you saved. I want to thank you for helping him when I could not." Taemin blinked in surprise. "You are welcome," he said carefully. Sung-ho continued. "I am not supposed to be talking to you, but I needed you to know that not all of us agree with this. Many of us have people we care about who need help. We do not want to attack you." Before Taemin could respond, the communication ended. But it was enough. Hope sparked in his chest. Maybe they had a chance after all. Over the next few days, more messages came from the Valkyrie people. Public opinion was shifting. News networks were covering the story. Politicians were being questioned. Why had the government allowed so many citizens to suffer? Why was helping people treated as a crime? Some Valkyrie medical companies announced they would lower their prices for implant repairs. It was a small gesture, but it was something. Other companies said they would donate supplies to help the refugees. Support was building. On the 6th day of the standoff, 3 military ships broke away from the fleet. They signaled the station that they were leaving and returning home. Their crews refused to participate in an attack. More ships followed. Within hours, half the fleet was gone. Commander Yun-hee was furious. She tried to maintain order, but her authority was crumbling. She sent angry messages to the government, demanding clear instructions. But the government was paralyzed by the controversy. They did not know what to do. Finally, after 2 weeks of tension, the government sent an official representative to negotiate. Her name was In-suk, and she was a senior diplomat. She came to the station alone, unarmed, to talk. Taemin met her in the docking bay. She was an older woman with gray hair and tired eyes. She looked around at the station, seeing the gardens, the medical areas, the people working together. "You have built something remarkable here," In-suk said quietly. "I did not expect this," Taemin shrugged. "We just did what was necessary. People needed help. We helped them," In-suk nodded. "I am here to propose a solution. The government is willing to recognize this station as an independent medical facility. You will receive official supplies and support. In return, you will share your techniques with our medical professionals so they can help more people." Taemin considered it. "What about the refugees? Will they be safe?" In-suk looked him in the eyes. "They will not be arrested or punished. They can stay here or return home, their choice, and we are implementing new laws to make implant repairs more affordable for everyone." It was not perfect. It did not fix everything, but it was a start. Taemin called a meeting with the refugees. He explained the offer. They voted, and the decision was unanimous. They would accept. Bora stood beside Taemin as he shook hands with In-suk. "We did it," she whispered. "We actually did it," Taemin smiled. "No," he said. "You did it. Your message changed everything." "I just fixed some machines." "You changed minds," Bora shook her head. "We did it together, all of us. That is what makes it special." The military fleet withdrew. The crisis was over. But the work was just beginning. 1 year later, Relay Station Epsilon 7 looked completely different. New sections had been added to handle more patients. The old cargo bays were now proper medical facilities with modern equipment. The gardens had expanded to feed over 200 people. Supply ships came regularly, bringing medicine, tools, and food. Taemin stood in what they now called the main medical center. 20 beds lined the walls. Valkyrie doctors and engineers worked alongside the original refugees. Bora supervised the implant repair procedures. Haewon trained new medical staff. The station had become exactly what it needed to be. A place of healing. The Valkyrie government had kept its promises. They sent supplies and funding. They changed their laws to make implant repairs affordable. They even opened similar facilities on other stations, but everyone knew that Epsilon 7 was special. This was where it all started. This was where one human showed an entire civilization what compassion looked like. Ships arrived daily now. Some brought patients. Others brought visitors who wanted to see the famous station. Some brought donations. A few brought Valkyrie who wanted to volunteer and help. The station that had once been empty and forgotten was now alive with purpose. Taemin walked through the corridors checking on patients. He stopped at the bed of a young Valkyrie named Yejin. She had arrived 3 days ago with severe implant damage. Her parents stood beside her bed holding her hands. They looked worried but hopeful. "How is she doing?" the father asked. Taemin checked the monitors. "Very well. The main repairs are complete. She should wake up soon. Her implants will work normally again." The mother started crying with relief. "Thank you," she said. "Thank you for saving our daughter. A year ago we would have lost her. Nobody would have helped us." Taemin felt the familiar warmth in his chest. This feeling never got old. Every life saved mattered. Every family reunited was worth the effort. "You are welcome," he said simply. He continued his rounds, greeting patients and staff. He found Bora in the training room, teaching a group of new volunteers how to diagnose implant problems. She had become an excellent teacher. Her students listened carefully, taking notes and asking questions. When the lesson ended, Bora joined Taemin in the hallway. "Another successful day," she said with a smile. "We treated 15 patients today. All of them will recover fully." "That is wonderful," Taemin said. "You have trained your team well." Bora looked thoughtful. "I had a good teacher. Someone who believed in me when nobody else did. Someone who showed me that broken things can be fixed, that broken people can be healed." They walked to the observation deck. It had become their favorite place to talk. The stars shined bright outside the windows. Ships came and went, tiny lights moving through the darkness. "Do you remember that first day?" Bora asked. "When I crashed here and you found me?" Taemin nodded. "I remember. You were dying. I did not know if I could save you." I was scared too," Bora said. "But you tried anyway. That changed everything. Not just for me. For all of us." A communication alert interrupted them. Taemin checked the console. It was a message from the Valkyrie government. They wanted to give him an award, a formal recognition for his humanitarian work. They wanted him to travel to the capital for a ceremony. Bora read the message over his shoulder. "You should go." "You deserve this recognition." Taemin shook his head. "I do not need awards. This work is its own reward. Besides, I am needed here." Bora smiled. "The station will be fine for a few days. Haewon and I can manage. Go, let them thank you properly. Let them see the face of the person who changed their world." Taemin thought about it. Maybe she was right. Maybe it was important to accept the recognition. Not for himself, but to show that compassion mattered. That choosing to help was always the right choice. A few days later, Taemin traveled to the Valkyrie capital. It was his first time leaving the station in over 3 years. The city was beautiful, with tall buildings and busy streets. But he felt uncomfortable. He was used to the quiet of space and the simple work of helping people. The ceremony was held in a large hall. Hundreds of Valkyrie attended. Government officials gave speeches. They talked about the importance of caring for citizens. They promised to do better. Some of the speeches felt empty to Taemin. Words were easy. Action was harder. But then they invited patients from the station to speak. Bora was there along with Haewon, Kyungsu, Dayun, Jiho, and others. They told their stories. They explained what it felt like to be abandoned, what it meant to be saved. Their words were powerful and real. When it was Timon's turn to speak, he stood before the crowd. He was not good at speeches. He was better with tools than words, but he tried. I did not do anything special, he said. I just saw people who needed help and decided to help them. That should not be remarkable. That should be normal. Every civilization, every person, should care for those who are struggling. That is what makes us better than machines. We choose to care. He paused, looking at the faces in the crowd. Some of you lost family members because they could not afford repairs. Some of you ignored people who needed help because society told you to. I hope that changes. I hope what happened on my station shows you that every life has value. That nobody should be thrown away because they are broken. The crowd was silent. Then someone started clapping. Others joined. Soon the entire hall was applauding. Some people were crying. Tamon saw that his words had reached them. Maybe things really would change. After the ceremony, Tamon returned to the station. As his ship approached, he saw the lights of Epsilon 7 shining in the darkness. Home. That was what it had become. Not just for him, but for hundreds of people who had nowhere else to go. Bora met him at the docking bay. "Welcome back," she said. "We missed you." "I missed this place too," Tamon admitted. "How were things while I was gone?" "Busy," Bora said with a smile. 3 new patients arrived. All of them heard about us and came looking for help. Haywan handled 2 of the cases. I managed the 3rd. Everything went perfectly. Tamon felt pride swell in his chest. "You do not need me anymore. You have become excellent healers on your own." Bora shook her head. "We will always need you, not just for your skills, but for what you represent. Hope, compassion, the belief that people matter more than rules or money or status. That is what keeps us going." They walked together to the observation deck. Other refugees joined them. They talked about the patients, about improvements they wanted to make, about new people they had trained. The conversation was warm and full of life. Tamon looked around at these people he had come to love. They were his family now, not by blood but by choice. They had all been broken once, but together they had healed. Together they had built something beautiful from pain and abandonment. Outside the window, more ships approached, more people seeking help, more lives to save. The work would never end. There would always be someone who needed healing. But that was okay. Tamon was no longer running from his past. He had found his purpose. He had found his reason to keep going. Bora stood beside him, watching the stars. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for everything. For seeing me when I was invisible. For believing I was worth saving. For teaching me that broken things can be fixed." Tamon smiled. "Thank you for teaching me that I was worth fixing too. I was just as broken as your implants when you arrived. But helping you helped me heal." We saved each other. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the universe turn. Somewhere out there, people were suffering. But here, on this small station in the middle of nowhere, hope lived. And as long as they kept working, kept caring, kept choosing compassion over convenience, that hope would spread. One person could not save everyone, but one person could start something. One act of kindness could inspire others. One choice to help could change a civilization. That was the real power humans had. Not strength or technology, but the stubborn, foolish, beautiful decision to care about strangers. To see value in the broken, to never give up on anyone. And that was exactly what Tamon would keep doing. For as long as he lived, for as long as people needed help, he would be there, on this station. Fixing implants, saving lives, showing the galaxy that every person mattered, that nobody was ever truly broken beyond repair. That hope, compassion, and determination could overcome any obstacle. The stars shined on. The work continued. And in the darkness of space, one small station proved that light could shine anywhere, as long as someone was willing to kindle it.